Welcome, bio students. This is Mr. Hollins, and I'm presenting section 3.3, Energy Flow in Ecosystems. Some of the vocabulary we'll be talking about here include food chain, also phytoplankton, also food web, of course the zooplankton, phytoplankton and zooplankton, plant and animal plankton, trophic level, meaning nutrient level, ecological pyramid, and of course biomass, the giant biomass here. It's a lesson overview, energy flow in ecosystems. Think about it. What happens to energy stored in body tissues when one organism eats another? Energy moves from the eaten to the eater. Where it goes from there depends on who eats whom. So here we have three classifications of consumers. Two classifications of consumers, one primary producer. The algae in this case is the primary producer. The flagfish is an herbivore, and then we have carnivores like the largemouth bass, the aninga, and the alligator. Energy absorbed from the sun by algae gets transferred to the flagfish, then to the largemouth bass, the aninga, and then the alligator. How does energy flow through ecosystems? Well, energy flows through an ecosystem in a one-way stream from primary producers to various consumers. A food chain is a series of steps in which organisms transfer energy by eating and being eaten. Food chains can vary in length. For example, from the Everglades is shown. The algae, the flagfish, largemouth bass, aninga, and the alligator. In some aquatic food chains, such as the example shown, primary producers are a mixture of floating algae called phytoplankton and attached algae. These producers are eaten by small fishes such as flagfish. Larger fishes, like the largemouth bass, eat the small fishes. Then the bass are preyed upon by large wading birds such as the aninga, which may ultimately be eaten by an alligator. There are 4 steps in this food chain. The top carnivore is 4 steps removed from the primary producer. Food webs. In most ecosystems, feeding relationships are much more complicated than the relationships described in a single simple chain because many animals eat more than one kind of food. Ecologists call this network of feeding interactions a food web. An example of a food web in the Everglades is shown here. Each path through a food web is a food chain. A food web, like the one shown, links all food chains in an ecosystem together. The orange highlighted food chain presented earlier is one of many that make up this web. Decomposers and detritivores. The word here is detritivores. In food webs, most producers die without being eaten. In the detritus pathway, decomposers convert that dead material to detritus, which is eaten by detritivores such as crayfish, grass shrimp, and worms. Pig frogs, killifish, and other fishes eat the detritivores, and thus that starts a new food web or a new food chain. Decomposers and detritivores in food webs. At the same time, the decomposition process releases nutrients that can be used by primary producers. They break down dead and decaying matter into forms that can be reused by organisms, similar to the way a recycling center works. Without decomposers, nutrients will remain locked in dead organisms that just don't break down after a while. Food webs and disturbance. When disturbances to food webs happen, their effects can be dramatic. This is really what you're here to learn. For example, all of the animals in this food web depend directly or indirectly on shrimp-like animals called krill. Krill are one example of small swimming animals called zooplankton. In recent years, krill populations have dropped substantially. Given the structure of this food web, a drop in the krill population can cause drops in the populations of all other members of the food web shown. What do the three types of ecological pyramids illustrate? So we have trophic levels and ecological pyramids. Pyramids of energy show the relative amount of energy available at each trophic level. A pyramid of biomass illustrates the relative amount of living organic matter at each trophic level. So what do the three types of ecological pyramids illustrate? A pyramid of numbers shows the relative number of individual organisms at each trophic level in an ecosystem. Each step in a food chain or food web is called a trophic level. Primary producers always make up the first trophic level. Various consumers occupy every other level, and some examples are shown. So you can see here in this little triangle over here, this pyramid shows a large portion of plants here. Then we have some plant eaters or herbivores, such as grasshoppers, mice, and rabbits. And the next level up there shows snakes, which would then prey on the smaller herbivores, like the rabbits, the mice, and the grasshoppers. And then what preys on the snake? Well, the hawk. And you can see there's only one hawk, 5 snakes, many herbivores, and a large portion of the plants. In this pyramid here, this shows an energy pyramid, and it shows light energy or chemical energy, while primary producers producing compounds from photosynthesis up to 100%. The first level consumers only get 10% of that. Some is lost as heat. Second level consumers, they only gain 1% of the total primary producer energy. And the third level consumer produces or consumes only 1% or 1/10% of the total 100% produced by primary producers. So ecological pyramids show the relative amount of energy or matter contained within each trophic level in a given food chain or food web. There are 3 different types of ecological pyramids: pyramids of energy, pyramids of biomass, and pyramids of numbers. There is theoretically no limit to the number of trophic levels in a food web or the number of organisms that live on each level. However, only a small portion of the energy that passes through any given trophic level is ultimately stored in the bodies of organisms at the next level. Organisms expend much of the energy they acquire on life processes such as respiration, movement, growth, and reproduction. Most of the remaining energy is released into the environment as heat, a byproduct of these activities. Pyramids of energy show the relative amount of energy available at each trophic level. On average, about 10% of the energy available within one trophic level is transferred to the next trophic level. There are more levels that exist between a producer and a consumer. The smaller the percentage of the original energy from producers that is available to that consumer. The total amount of living tissue within a given trophic level is called biomass. The amount of biomass in a given trophic level can support is determined in part by the amount of energy available. The pyramid of biomass illustrates the relative amount of living organic matter at each trophic level. Typically, the greatest biomass is at the base of the pyramid, as is seen in the field ecosystem model here. A pyramid of numbers shows the relative number of individual organisms at each trophic level in an ecosystem. And in most ecosystems, the shape of the pyramid of numbers is similar to the shape of the pyramid of biomass for the same ecosystem, with the numbers of individuals on each level decreasing from the level below it. In some cases, however, consumers are much smaller than the organisms they feed upon. Thousands of insects may graze on a single tree, for example. The tree has a lot of biomass, but represents only one organism. In such cases, the pyramid of numbers may be turned upside down, but the pyramid of biomass usually still has the normal orientation. And lastly, look at the figures. Note how they're similar and different. Based on figures, meaning either the food web or the food chain, write definitions for food chain and food web. These pictures are in your book, and so go ahead and study them, and then write a definition as you understand these pictures being. Algae, flagfish, largemouth bass, aninga, and alligator, then all of the other animals that are listed in that giant food web. There are many, so think about it carefully before you write your definitions, and that is your homework.